In the universe of news reporting, there's three types of reports. There's a direct quote, like Steve MNUCHIN yesterday said he's going to introduce a bill that's going to be like the problem solvers bill at $1.5 trillion. There's sourced reports in which Politico last night reports that Steve MNUCHIN will have an escalator provision in his offer that could bring the bill up from 1.5 to 2 trillion. Again, this is not a direct quote from Steve MNUCHIN. It's a source quote from someone off the record. Finally, the third version is opinion, in which someone says, I think the bill is going to get done if there's an escalator provision in there. Well, as we sit here on a Thursday morning, this is what's happening. Steve Mnuchin, in fact, introduced a $1.5 trillion counteroffer to Nancy Pelosi's $2.2 trillion bill yesterday. His bill, as he said, mirrors the problem solvers bill. Second, source information. Political claims that there's a escalator provision in there to raise the amount from 1.5 trillion to possibly $2 trillion in the future. And third, opinion. My opinion is, if that's the case, leaving out the issue of the Senate, you could have a deal between Steve and Nancy today. Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Mornings LALATE, in a confusing day in which we're hearing a lot of facts, opinions, and source data. And I'm here to really separate all that to you, because what's happening across broadcast news, print media, and even other channels is people are saying, I think the deal's going to be done. Congratulations, you have a deal. And people are literally running around celebrating when actually nothing has happened. And so I'm here to really sort of tone it down for you, but also give you some optimism of how things are sort of twisting and turning. There's a lot of developing news today. And so what I'll be going over in this report is a lot of breaking news that happened even after evening's LALATE last night, which is taped at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So you see how the stuff is really developing by the minute. I'm going to separate it, and I'm going to fully disclose to you at each step what is a direct quote from Steve Mnuchin or Nancy Pelosi or Mitch McConnell, what is a sourced item, things like off the record, someone said that the bill may have in there. Off the record, someone said that Nancy said this. Off the record. And then I'll give you my opinion, because a lot of people have been asking me for my opinion about the situation. A lot of breaking developments. And of course, as always, the Purple Power family is informed and understands all the nuances of how to get a bill to law. So we're not going to sit back and say, oh, congratulations, we have a bill. We're not naive like that. So go to the Vintage Finance channel, subscribe. This is the best community on the internet for a reason. I really break it down for you with incredible detail. There's a reason why the video today is going to be 20 minutes, because there's going to be so much information in here, so you really need to stay with me. I'm going to, in this video, be going over not just what happened since last night, but also what is at stake with all these provisions, which I haven't done, and I'm going to sort of compare Mnuchin versus Pelosi at the moment, and also problem solvers, which is basically Mnuchin. Also, like this video, because it's going to be the best darn video to start the morning for you. All right, let's get to the breaking news minutes ago. These are the breaking details as we start the new morning. There is no deal. This is a fact. There is no deal. There is no agreement. And there's 3 steps, well, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 steps to actually get anything from today to law. The first step, and I gotta make very clear, this is the step for legislative. We still have executive orders on the books. We still have the potential to do everything by executive orders. I'm just talking about legislative. Legislative, the path to get this done currently, and not excluding the problem solvers their own way, is the following. Mnuchin and Pelosi would agree to something. Second, the bill would be put to a vote in the House and approved in the House, which is Democratic run, so would likely approve. Third, the bill would be put to the Senate, which is Republican led, and that is where things could fall apart. And finally, the president would sign the bill, which is ultimately going to happen if MNUCHIN is agreeing to something for Pelosi. That is separate apart from the problem solver's path and separate apart from the executive order. Let me explain those two very quickly before I go back to Pelosi and MNUCHIN. There is some, again, sourced reports, not direct quotes, and not opinion, of course, but source reports in the last few hours that the problem solver's bill might be introduced to the Senate floor by Republicans. Again, that is sourced reports. It is not confirmed by the problem solvers. It's not confirmed by any Senate member on the record. That's the first thing. Additionally, as to that issue, there's still a push for this channel with the Purple Power to get that to exactly happen. We're trying to push the problem solvers bill to actually be introduced as written by the problem solvers. Next, executive orders are not dead or done as of today. They can be done tomorrow. They can be done Saturday. They can be done Sunday. They can be done at any time to give you your second stimulus check and FPUC and all those incredible great news. So that's not something to be concerned about. We're not dead. We're not dead as of this afternoon for second stimulus check because the president can do it by executive order, has said he would, and has the money and has the legal authority to do it. All right, so let me turn to what's going on with MNUCHIN and Meadows, because there's a lot of twists that you're only going to hear on this channel. First, in the last 2 days, MNUCHIN and MNUCHIN and Pelosi in the last 2 days have been chatting, and he never, ever accepted anything she said. A lot of people were taking his words of optimism, which he does all the time, and it really annoys me. I'm so excited. Stop it, Steve. Just tone it down a little bit so he can get news versus your opinion. He never accepted anything she was offering. He was just listening. And so people were taking his listening as that he had a deal with her. No, he never had a deal with her. Rather, what he made very, very clear was that he was going to listen to her and make a counter offer. And this is his exact quote this is yesterday morning on CNBC. He said, I will be making a counteroffer, and the counteroffer will be the problem solvers bill, the bipartisan bill. Okay, we know what that is because we've been behind it as a Purple Power for over a week. It's a $1.5 trillion bill, and we know there's provisions about that. More in a second. Well, he made that offer to her late yesterday, and she rejected it. Well, more like in the middle of yesterday. She rejected it, which was no surprise. We all thought she was going to. And at that point, she said, I'm going to call for a vote in the House for the Democrats, and then when we're done, they're going to pass our bill, our $2.2 trillion, and then we're going to go home. They were never going to call for a vote for the problem solvers bill. There's some false reports out there that the Democrats were going to call for a vote in the House for the problem solvers bill. That's just not happening. That was not the quote by Pelosi. So then the backlash hit, and then Pelosi backed up, and she said, "Okay, this is all source direct quotes." She said, "Okay, I'm reconsidering the situation. I will negotiate with MNUCHIN a little bit more." And yeah, she does use this other verb that's not negotiate, like chat or reconsider. You know, it's a little petty. This is amid the same time in which the problem solvers directly said, "Please don't end chats. Try it further and don't leave town, damn it." Well, they didn't say damn it, but I'm inserting that. That's sort of the mood of it. And that was that. Okay, then last night this hit. This is what you're hearing now for the first time this morning on Mornings LALATE. MNUCHIN's offer, apparently, either the offer that he offered in the middle of the day or later that night, last night, is slightly different. And what's slightly different, and let me pause, this is source data. This is not from MNUCHIN. He's not on the record saying this. And it's also not opinion. It's not my opinion. I have no opinion about this yet. That's coming up in a second. The source data claims that MNUCHIN offered $1.5 trillion to the problem solvers bill with an escalator provision. Escalator? Why not elevator? What type of escalator? Where are we going? We're going to the top floor? What's on the top floor? Housewares? Yeah. Housewares on 3? Yeah, an escalator provision. You're like, what the hell's an escalator provision? More about that in a second. Well, it allegedly has an escalator clause. This is what Politico by source data is claiming. MNUCHIN's offer has, quote, an escalator clause which could bump the top line up to $2 trillion. Again, this is not a direct quote from MNUCHIN. We have no confirmation that this has happened. This is source data. So you take it for what it's worth. No one else is also reporting this besides Politico. That is that. The second item is that allegedly there only is 2 issues that these people are going to the mat on, and the reason why there's no deal. Allegedly, again, this is source data from Politico, that Pelosi told fellow Democrats that the only outstanding issues between her and MNUCHIN are the amount of money for state and local and the amount of money for liability reform. Democrats are at 436 currently. They were down from 951. And the Republicans are at 150, which is sort of strange because Meadows had said he would go to 300. So I don't know why the Republicans are still at 150. Then this is also source data. Politico's claiming that she has told her caucus, which I don't know is 2 people at this point, opinion, that if she does not get her way, the Democratic Party is, quote, closer to the inauguration of Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden, who will do an expansive relief form next year. We will have our moment, Pelosi said on the call, according to several people who dialed in. So the source data is claiming that the quote from Pelosi was, we will have our moment and we're going to pass stimulus packages next year. I have an opinion about that. I'm sure you do too. It's coming up in a second. All right, now here is some direct quotes. Mitch McConnell yesterday said, what is all the silliness from Nancy? I'm not doing $2 trillion, so I don't care what she says. The Senate is never passing $2 trillion. I think it's safe to say we're far apart, said Mitch McConnell during a Wednesday press conference. We're very, very far apart, said Mitch McConnell, honest direct quote to Capitol Hill. He said the latest bill from the speaker is no more serious than any of the other political stunts going back for months. If they continue to refuse to get serious, the American families will continue to hurt. So Mitch McConnell's position, direct quote, is you're not going to see the light of day of $2 trillion on any Senate floor ever, which I've been told, which we already know. I mean, I've been saying that for over 2 weeks. This is House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer, my favorite, with the favorite name, Democrat Maryland. Quote, this is a direct quote, we have to see if we have an agreement, we're going to pass that agreement. It's hard to say when we're going to leave. Yeah. They're so excited to go home and have a vacation. All right, so now let me explain, now that you have the source data, the direct quotes, let me give you my opinion of what I think is happening and what could happen. My opinion is the following, that if there is an escalator provision in there that raises this one from $1.5 trillion to $2 trillion, you likely, highly likely, I'm not going to say will, but highly likely will have a deal between Steve Mnuchin and Nancy Pelosi today. This is why you wait to the 11-minute mark of this video, because there's a lot coming up in this video, and we're only halfway through. So you got to stay with me. I think that if there is an escalator provision in there, you will have a deal between Steve Mnuchin and Nancy Pelosi. What Mnuchin is doing with an escalator provision, let me explain what he's doing. This is not opinion. This is explaining the situation. Is that if he's at 1.5 trillion, which he said he is, then, and she's at 2.2 trillion, neither wants to move. And so what he's doing, he says, I will sort of move under a certain environment in the future if I have to move, but I'm not going to move at that now. Basically, an escalator provision would sound like something like this. If state and local needs more money next year, then we will have available a revolving extra amount of $500 billion for state and local, 8 to 10 months from now. But we're not going to give you that $500 billion today. That's what an escalator provision is. It's sort of like in a lease where you have a lease for a year, and then you want to exercise an option to stay as a tenant for an additional year. It's like, I like it. Can I stay another year? Yeah, but if you stay more than a year, this is how we're going to do it. So an escalator clause would not give state and local the money to make $2 trillion right now. It would allow them to get that funds in the future if they so need, and there's safeguards, guardrails. Notice I use the word guardrails. That's exactly what the president, Mnuchin, and Larry Kudlow have used in recent days. Remember that Larry Kudlow interview on a Friday where he said, we're willing to give more money if there's guardrails. The problem is that Pelosi just wants money to be given to people and they can use it happy-nally, with no guidelines as to whether it's for COVID relief or to buy new socks for Gavin Newsom. It's just, hey, give me a lot of money and I'll just go do what I want to do with it. Well, the escalator clause would have guardrails, clearly, because you would have to trigger it if you need it. It's sort of like Javita Carranza saying, if you need additional money for this particular purpose, for the loan, for the EIDL loan, then you can go get it. All right, and let me go to the next thing that you need to understand. The fact that only 2 issues are really allegedly holding up the deal, claims Politico, state and local and liability reform, is incredibly great news. If that is true, that means we're very close to a deal. It means that everything else has now been exhausted and agreed upon. It's not quite clear why. And I got to tell you, here's my opinion also as well. I don't trust that type of reporting. I don't co-sign that type of reporting by Politico, because to think that suddenly all these provisions that Steve Mnuchin said he would not agree to for months, suddenly he's now agreeing to, and there's only state and local and liability reform as the issues. I just don't believe that quote. And I got to tell you, this is my only opinion. It sounds like a source data coming from Pelosi's camp, because just before it says Pelosi's on the phone and she said this, Pelosi was on the phone, and a source close to Pelosi says, you notice how there's no sources close to Mnuchin in the report? Everything is a source close to Pelosi, who's very good at filtering false narratives out to the press. She's gotten everything except state and local. I have a feeling Mnuchin has not agreed to $600 a week for FPUC. It just doesn't rub right to me that those are the 2 things. So that's my next opinion. The third thing that is really beyond and critical, and it seems to be left in the discussion, is that the Senate is never going to agree to $2 trillion. They're just not going to. So this is a mixture. Let me go first to fact. A series of reports today said that Mnuchin is, who came from Wall Street, did not come from a congressional seat before. He's a guy from Wall Street. His dad was on Wall Street. He's a Wall Street guy. He's very well admired. He's not a person that congressional people know. And the report says that Mnuchin is not particularly, buddy-buddies with anyone in the Senate. So for him to sit back and say, yeah, I'm going to negotiate from Nancy Pelosi, and that's going to it's going to go right to law. That's just not the case. Remember, Becky Quick on CNBC yesterday specifically asked you, Mnuchin, are you going to get approval from the Senate if you get approval from Pelosi? He would not answer the question. The reason why is because he does not have approval from the Senate. He categorically does not have approval from the Senate. That's fact. That's not opinion. And Becky Quick asked him, do you have approval from the Senate? He did not say he did. That's also fact. What's also fact is that yesterday, right after Mnuchin said, you know what, I'm very confident we're going to have a deal. I'm very confident we're going to have a deal. And the stock market went way up in the morning. Well, an hour or two later, McConnell made those remarks. Says, well, they're very far apart. I don't see this happening. The latest bill from the speaker is no more serious than the political stunts she's done in the past. Bam, the stock market went right back down. Because it understand that McConnell and the Senate is just not going to ratify anything that's $2.2 trillion. Now, the big question then you're asking me, of course, as you're looking at me at the 16-minute mark, is, okay, so what if it's 1.5 and it's a problem solver's bill? Would McConnell approve that? We have enough direct quotes from Grassley, leading Republican in the Senate, the president, and a few others that say Republicans would really, really, really in the Senate not like 1.5, but there's not a statement that they would not approve it. They would just absolutely be, kicking their feet going to the final vote and just say, I really don't want to do this. Now, when asked about $2 trillion, oh no, the quotes are totally different. The direct quotes on the record are absolutely categorically no way. So the question is whether Republicans in the Senate would see 1.5 with an escalator to 2 as basically 2 or as basically 1.5. I have a feeling, and now this is my opinion, that anyone with a brain cell in the Senate who's a Republican that understands an escalator to 2 is really 2 and is not 1.5 is going to say no, and there'll be no deal. I just sense that's really strong, a very strong opinion of mine, that no one is going to buy into that you reclassified something as an escalator when it's really just $2 trillion. I mean, that's the purpose of a bill that says funds are available in the future, can come and get the money in the future. That's still you're still giving the money away. That money is still available. All right, let me go to the provisions that are really up at grabs, because this is sort of a realm of confusion, and I appreciate you staying with me because there's so much in this video. All right, MNUCHIN's problem solvers offer, we know for fact, mirrors the problem solvers. So what would that mean for you? It would mean a $1,200 stimulus check for individuals. It would mean a $2,400 check for married couples. It means that minor dependents and adult dependents will get a stimulus check. People on SSDI, SSI, Social Security, or railroad benefits who did not get a first check would get a second stimulus check. But if MNUCHIN is co-signing exactly the problem solvers bill, then he would be co-signing at $500 dependent checks. $500 dependent checks, whether you're 18 years of younger or adult dependents. And sadly, Nancy Pelosi threw you under the bus because she originally had adult and minor dependents at $1,200 and this week reduced them to $500, because she had to give more salary raises to everyone else. Opinion. There's that. FPUC. Hot mess express into that. Problem solvers are $450 for 8 weeks, then 5 weeks at $600. Pelosi's at $600 this entire period of time. So those are totally two different numbers. Is MNUCHIN going to agree to $600 this entire period of time? I just don't see that. I'm sorry, I just don't see that. I don't care what Politico's saying. In my opinion, I just don't see MNUCHIN going to $600 this entire period of time. He didn't do it before. Why would he do it today? Will it be retroactive? I don't even think any of these people care about whether you're retroactive or not. I just don't think it's their priority. It should be retroactive, so I don't have any faith, opinion, in anyone giving anyone anything retroactive. Multiple checks. The problem solvers bill calls for a second stimulus check next year. I don't know why Pelosi would be against that, so that could possibly get in their opinion. But the problem solvers bill is multiple checks. Her bill is one stimulus check. Finally, rent, eviction, mortgage forbearance, student loan moratorium, all those things are the same between these people. The amounts are slightly different. Hazard pay? Yeah. She cut it. She cut it out this week because she had to give big raises to Bambi and everyone else. It's awful. It really is awful. Now, there is other essential worker grants in there for frontline workers, and I will be with you to get you that money if this becomes law. I'm not going anywhere because there's a lot of stuff in here to get you a lot of money. So I will be getting you this money. Additionally, there's EIDL grants, there's EIDL loans, there's a lot of more money for you besides just a stimulus check. You see how things are sort of confusing, and I'm trying to break it down for you. And there's a reason why I'm here, because stuff like this gets complicated, and they don't want you to know. They just want you to sit back and sort of buy into what they're telling you. So go to the Funds channel, subscribe. No one has your interests better than I do. We're trying to get this to the finish line. Let's continue our push. I don't want this recording to make you think that we're off book and we're not pushing the problem solvers. We're not pushing the Blue Dogs. We're not pushing the New Democrat Coalition. I'm going to continue to make very clear today, whether it's on social media because this recording is going along or wherever it is, that we need to try to get the problem solvers to a Senate vote. And sorry, I'm dropping this at the 22-minute mark, but that's really where I'm going to focus. So go to the Funds channel, subscribe. Also like this video because there's a lot of stuff coming up. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, stay focused, and stay FLA for more.